If you're over 40 and just starting to get into the gym, there's probably a few things that don't work quite as well as they used to, or maybe you're finding some of these really common things a little bit difficult. So the following 8 hacks are some of my favorite ways to make our training life a little bit easier for those of us who are starting to get a little bit older. First one is simply loading and unloading a barbell. While there are a bunch of ways to do it, there's one way that makes this really, really easy. Sometimes we want to get the weight off the bar and we can kind of pull it like this, or we can, I don't know, do a row like this and kind of try to wedge the plate out of the way. It's just painful and difficult, honestly. Or I get a small plate, and when I prop this wheel up here like this, look how easily this plate comes off. Now all of a sudden this loading and unloading the bar becomes really, really easy simply by using a smaller plate to allow me to do it. This is all about working smarter, not harder, because the number one way people hurt themselves in the gym is not actually training, it's picking up and putting down weights before they actually begin training. Now, a really good exercise for people when they're in their 40s is Bulgarian split squats or rear foot elevated split squats. But how most people set themselves up is incorrect. It's got nothing to do with them and more to do with the bench height. So really common, people take this step, they put their foot up on the bench and down they go, and maybe they're in the wrong spot, maybe they're in the right spot, there's some shuffling around they need to do because they set themselves up from the top. A better way to set yourself up is actually start down here at the bottom. What I'm going to do to begin with, I'm going to put my foot on the bench, my knee goes on the ground, and then I set myself up at 90 degrees at the bottom, so I've got everything at 90 degrees here, and now I know I'm in exactly the right spot to do Bulgarian squats. When you set yourself up from the bottom up rather than the top down, you're going to get the exercise right straight away. A really common problem people have is just their hand position with push-ups. We spend all day in this position on keyboards and phones and driving. Just getting to a normal range of motion on the hands can be really uncomfortable for people, particularly when they start loading them up for push-ups. If that's you, while you're working on the flexibility to be able to put your hands on the ground and do them properly, you can simply put your hands on dumbbells, allow your wrists to stay straight, do push-ups from here without any wrist strain at all. Another really common for people getting into the gym in middle age is they're just too stiff to squat properly. Now, I've been upstairs, I've been talking on video, I've been sat down, I'm pretty stiff, I haven't warmed up. Oh, here's my squat. That's no exaggeration. That's actually how I'm squatting right now. What can I do to make this easier? Well, if you go to Amazon, you can buy some squat wedges like this. These are particularly good because they come in pairs. So this now gives me 4 different options in terms of height that I need. I can take my squat wedges, I can put them exactly where I want my feet to be, and you can see, once we get these in the right position, you can see my squat so much better straight away, simply from that little bit of heel lift that I get from the wedges. And again, these ones give me a lot of different options, but what they really allow is for me to squat more upright, which means that I'm safer. My back is less at risk in this position. So invest in some squat wedges or some shoes with a heel in them so you squat with better technique. Tying into the wrist flexibility problem are exercises like front squats, where you need to be able to have really good wrist flexibility so you can hold the bar in a comfortable position. Now for me today, this is really uncomfortable. I don't even have any weight on the bar. So what can I do to front squat in a more comfortable wrist position? A much better idea is simply front squat with kettlebells. It's exactly the same exercise, just my wrists are in a much better position. The next tip is never just to do an activation drill. You see, muscles have 2 sides to every problem. We've got a side that needs more mobility, and we've got a side that needs to be activated better so things work properly. So in the case of warming up for bench press, for instance, I might actually want to stretch my chest and shoulders while actually doing movements that work the opposing muscles to get everything fired up and working properly. The next tip has to do with warm-ups. Now, I'm a big fan of warm-ups. I think more people should do more warm-ups, not less. Everything about research on warm-ups says that it's beneficial to performance, but at the same time, don't waste too much time on your warm-ups. Let's say, for instance, I'm warming up to do a set of bench press at 80 kilo, and I'm going to do sets of 10. Don't do sets of 10 for all your warm-up sets. By the time you go through a set with the bar at 10, a set at 40 kilo for 10, a set at 60 kilo for 10, then you get to 80 kilo, you might already be too fatigued to get the most from your sets. Start with a set of 10 with the bar for sure, but then you probably just need 5 reps on the first warm-up set and as little as 2 or 3 on successive warm-up sets, because all you're really trying to do is get a feel for the weight, not actually do a bunch of sub-maximal work sets of 10 with weight that doesn't do anything for you. By the time you get to your working weight at 80 kilo, you'll be warm, you'll be ready to feel the heavy weight, but you won't be too fatigued from the warm-up sets to get the maximum from these working sets. The final tip is don't waste your time in the gym. Time is precious at our age. We've all got family responsibilities, we've got work responsibilities. Don't waste your time in the gym idly scrolling on your phone in between sets. Do your main exercise and then straight away do either a mobility or a core exercise so that you're maximizing the amount of time you spend in the gym. Don't waste that time for 2 or 3 minutes sitting there looking at your phone, not getting any benefit from that rest. Use the rest as best as possible. The only thing I can say for this though is make sure you're not stretching the same muscle group that you're working. Make sure you're stressing muscle groups that are completely uninvolved in the exercise you're doing. For instance, if you're doing bench press, make sure the stretch is a lower body stretch so it doesn't impact the strength at all that you're able to display in the upper body.